Welcome back to our channel. In this video, we'll be discussing how to create a preloader animation in Blogger. A preloader is a loading screen that appears while your website's content is being loaded. Today, we'll dive into the code line by line, explaining how to implement an eye-catching preloader animation. Let's get started. Understanding the HTML structure. First, let's examine the HTML structure that forms the foundation of our preloader animation. We begin with a div element with the class preloader. This container div serves as the overall frame for our preloader. Inside the container div, we have a div element with the class preloader text. This element holds the text that accompanies our preloader animation, such as loading or please wait. Next, we have a div element with the class dots container. This div is responsible for holding the animated dots that visually indicate the loading process. Inside the dots container div, we have three dot elements, each with the class dot. These dots are styled using different colors, namely red, green, and yellow. Each dot represents a different stage of the loading animation. CSS styling for preloader animation. Now that we've examined the HTML structure, let's move on to the CSS styling that brings our preloader animation to life. We start with the .preloader class selector. It positions the preloader container and sets its background color to a dark shade #0f0f0f. The .preloader text class selector styles the text inside the preloader container. We set its color to a light gray, number 838383, and apply text transformations to make it uppercase. The .dots container class selector styles the container div for the animated dots. We add a margin to create some space between the dots and the text. The .dot class selector styles each dot element. We set the dot's width, height, and border radius to make it circular. Additionally, we add margins to create spacing between the dots. Finally, we define the keyframes animation called bounce. It animates the dots by moving them up and down. This creates a bouncing effect, giving a dynamic feel to the preloader. That concludes the first part of our tutorial, where we discussed the HTML structure and CSS styling for the preloader animation. In the next part, we'll dive into the JavaScript implementation. Now, we'll delve into the JavaScript implementation that brings our preloader to life. Let's continue. JavaScript implementation. To add functionality to our preloader, we'll be using JavaScript. Let's walk through the code step by step. We begin by selecting the preloader container using the .preloader class selector and storing it in the preloader constant. Next, we define a constant called preloader duration and set it to 500 milliseconds. This value represents the duration after which the preloader will be hidden. We create a function called hidePreloader that adds the class hide to the preloader container after the specified preloader duration has passed. This class contains styles to make the preloader fade out. We add an event listener to the window object, listening for the load event. When the page finishes loading, the hidePreloader function is called. Finalizing the preloader animation. With this JavaScript code, we achieve the final step of our preloader animation implementation. The window.addEventListener method listens for the load event, which occurs when all the page resources have finished loading, including images, scripts, and style sheets. When the load event is triggered, the hidePreloader function is executed, initiating the fade-out animation of the preloader. Congratulations! You've successfully implemented a dynamic preloader animation in your Blogger website using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Now, when visitors access your site, they will be greeted with an engaging loading screen. If you found this tutorial helpful, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more web development tutorials. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.